After exploring cognitive development and the mental skills needed for school success, we arrive at a crucial question. How does this knowledge actually help children who are struggling in school? This is where educational therapy becomes not just relevant but essential. Unlike traditional tutoring, which often focuses on reteaching subject matter, educational therapy digs deeper. It seeks to understand the root causes behind a child's learning difficulties, offering a more holistic and effective approach. In this video, we'll explore how educational therapy works, why it matters, and how it can transform the educational experience for struggling students. Educational therapy is often misunderstood as just another form of tutoring. However, it's much more than that. While tutoring typically involves reviewing and reteaching academic content, educational therapy takes a comprehensive approach. It investigates the underlying cognitive processes that might be hindering a child's ability to learn. Educational therapists act as learning detectives, searching for the hidden reasons behind academic struggles. Their goal is not just to help a child pass the next test, but to build the mental skills necessary for long-term success in school and beyond. Think of educational therapists as detectives for learning. Their job is to investigate the hidden cognitive reasons behind a child's academic difficulties. Just as a doctor looks for the cause of a fever rather than only treating the symptom, educational therapists look for the root causes of learning challenges. They ask questions like, is the problem with attention, memory, language processing, or phonological awareness? By identifying the specific cognitive system that isn't functioning optimally, they can design targeted interventions that address the real issue, not just the surface symptoms. Imagine a medical doctor diagnosing a patient. If someone has a fever, the doctor doesn't just treat the fever, they look for the underlying cause, maybe an infection, inflammation, or an immune response. Similarly, educational therapists don't just address poor grades or test scores. They ask, what's causing the difficulty? Is it attention, memory, or something else? By treating the root cause, educational therapists help children overcome their challenges in a lasting way, rather than just providing a temporary fix. When a child struggles academically, educational therapists look for which cognitive system might be at fault. Is the issue with attention, memory, language processing, or phonological awareness? By pinpointing the specific area of weakness, therapists can create exercises and strategies tailored to strengthen that system. This investigative approach ensures that interventions are meaningful and directly address the child's unique needs, leading to more effective and lasting improvements in learning. Let's look at a real example. Amir is a student who reads very slowly. A traditional teacher might think Amir simply needs more reading practice and assign additional passages. However, this approach may not address the real issue. An educational therapist acting as a learning detective would investigate further. They would ask, why is Amir reading slowly? Is it a problem with phonological awareness, processing speed, or working memory? By digging deeper, the therapist can find the true cause and create a plan that actually helps Amir improve. One possible reason for Amir's slow reading is weak phonological awareness. This means he struggles to break words into their individual sounds. For example, when reading the word ship, Amir might have trouble blending the sounds /sh/p. If the brain can't process these sounds smoothly, reading becomes slow and difficult. In this case, the educational therapist would focus on training Amir's phonological awareness through activities like rhyming games, sound segmentation exercises, and blending sound drills. Another reason Amir might read slowly is slow processing speed. In this case, Amir understands the words, but his brain takes longer to recognize them. This doesn't mean he's less intelligent, it just means his information processing system works at a slower pace. The therapist might use exercises like repeated reading, timed reading practice, and pattern recognition to help Amir improve his reading fluency and speed. Sometimes the issue is with working memory. Amir might read each word correctly but forget the beginning of the sentence by the time he reaches the end. For example, with the sentence, "The small brown dog ran across the playground," Amir may not remember how the sentence started. This makes comprehension difficult. The therapist would use memory games, chunking strategies, and guided reading exercises to help Amir strengthen his working memory and improve his reading comprehension. Now let's consider another student, May, who often fails spelling tests. A typical teacher might think May just needs to memorize more spelling words and give her long lists to study. However, memorization alone may not solve the problem. Educational therapists look deeper, investigating the cognitive skills that support spelling, such as phonological awareness and memory strategies. By understanding the root cause, they can help May improve her spelling in a more meaningful way. Spelling requires a strong understanding of how sounds connect to letters. If May cannot clearly hear individual sounds, she cannot spell accurately. For example, with the word plant, she must hear each sound. /p/l/t. If she can't separate these sounds, she might write pant or plan. The therapist would use activities like clapping syllables, stretching sounds, and phoneme segmentation games to help May develop her phonological awareness and improve her spelling. Spelling also relies on remembering letter patterns. Educational therapists teach memory techniques to help with this. For example, they might encourage May to visualize the word in her mind, break words into smaller parts, or associate words with images. A common memory trick for the word because is, big elephants can always understand small elephants, where each letter stands for a word in the sentence. These strategies make spelling easier and more memorable for students like May. Let's look at Daniel, a student who struggles to follow instructions. When the teacher says, take out your science book, open page 32 and answer questions 1 to 3, Daniel only takes out the book and stops. The teacher might assume Daniel isn't listening, but the real issue could be weak working memory. Daniel can't hold all the steps in his mind at once. Educational therapists help by teaching strategies like writing instructions on the board, breaking tasks into smaller steps, and using visual checklists. Students like Daniel, supporting working memory is key. Educational therapists provide practical tools such as writing instructions on the board, breaking down tasks into manageable steps, and using visual aids like checklists. These supports help students remember what to do next and complete tasks successfully. Over time, these strategies can strengthen working memory and boost confidence in following multi-step instruction. Many learning difficulties arise because certain cognitive systems are not fully developed. These systems include memory, attention, language, executive function, and reasoning. If any of these areas are weak, academic performance can suffer. Educational therapists are trained to identify these weaknesses and design interventions that specifically target and strengthen them. By focusing on cognitive development, they help students build the skills needed for lifelong learning. Let's briefly review the key cognitive systems involved in learning. Memory helps students remember facts and procedures. Attention allows them to focus on important information and ignore distractions. Language skills are needed to understand instructions and reading materials. Executive function helps students organize tasks and control impulses. Reasoning enables them to analyze problems and draw conclusions. Weakness in any of these systems can create barriers to academic success. Educational therapists use a variety of assessments and observations to identify which cognitive systems are weak. By understanding each child's unique profile, they can design interventions that are tailored to the individual. This personalized approach ensures that students receive the support they need to overcome their specific learning challenges and build a strong foundation for future success. Educational therapy is not just about helping students pass exams. Its true goal is to build the brain skills that support lifelong learning. Think of it like building a house. If the foundation is weak, the house is unstable. Similarly, if cognitive foundations are weak, learning becomes difficult. Educational therapy works to strengthen these foundations, making future learning easier and more enjoyable for students. Imagine building a house. If the foundation isn't strong, the entire structure is at risk. The same is true for learning. If a child's cognitive foundations like memory, attention, and reasoning are weak, academic achievement becomes much harder. Educational therapy focuses on strengthening these core skills, ensuring that students have a solid base for all future learning. This approach leads to more stable and lasting academic growth. Teachers understand cognitive development. The entire approach to education changes. Teaching is no longer just about memorizing information. Instead, it becomes about developing the mind and nurturing each child's unique abilities. Teachers start asking, how does the brain learn best? Which cognitive skill is needed for this task? How can we strengthen the child's learning systems? This shift makes education more effective and humane. The focus on cognitive development, students are no longer labeled as lazy, careless, or slow. Instead, educators recognize that every child's brain develops differently and at its own pace. With the right support and interventions, most children can make significant improvements. This understanding fosters a more compassionate and supportive learning environment for all students. Educational therapists play a vital role in helping children succeed. They use their understanding of cognitive development to identify learning barriers, design targeted interventions, and strengthen cognitive foundations. Their work goes beyond academics, focusing on the whole child and supporting their growth in all areas of learning and life. First step for educational therapists is to identify the specific barriers that are preventing a child from learning effectively. This might involve observing the child in different settings, conducting assessments, and talking with teachers and parents. By gathering this information, therapists can develop a clear picture of the child's strengths and weaknesses, which guides the intervention process. Once the learning barriers are identified, educational therapists design targeted interventions. These are specific exercises and strategies aimed at strengthening the child's weak cognitive systems. For example, if a child struggles with working memory, the therapist might use memory games and chunking techniques. If attention is the issue, they might teach focusing strategies. Each intervention is personalized to the child's needs. The ultimate goal of educational therapy is to strengthen the cognitive foundations that support all learning. By building up skills like memory, attention, and reasoning, therapists help students become more independent and confident learners. This foundation not only improves academic performance but also prepares students for lifelong learning and success. When we understand how children learn, education moves beyond simple memorization. It becomes a process of developing the mind itself. Educational therapy encourages students to think critically, solve problems, and apply what they learn in new situations. This approach makes learning more meaningful and enjoyable for students of all ages. When the mind develops properly, learning becomes much more natural and enjoyable. Students gain confidence as they overcome challenges and discover their own strengths. Educational therapy creates an environment where students feel supported and motivated to learn, making education a positive and rewarding experience. The impact of educational therapy can be seen in the real-life progress of students like Amir, May, and Daniel. With the right support, they move from struggling in school to becoming confident, capable learners. Their stories show that when we address the root causes of learning difficulties, we can unlock every child's potential. Educational therapists often work closely with teachers to ensure that interventions are supported in the classroom. By sharing strategies and insights, they help teachers understand each student's needs and adapt their teaching methods. This collaboration creates a more inclusive and effective learning environment for everyone. Parents also play a key role in educational therapy. Therapists communicate regularly with families, sharing progress and suggesting ways to support learning at home. When parents, teachers, and therapists work together, students receive consistent support and encouragement both in and out of the classroom. Every child is unique and educational therapy adapts to meet individual needs. Therapists use a variety of tools and techniques, adjusting their approach based on what works best for each student. This flexibility ensures that every child has the opportunity to succeed, regardless of their starting point. As students develop stronger cognitive skills, their confidence grows. They begin to see themselves as capable learners who can tackle new challenges. This boost in self-esteem is one of the most important outcomes of educational therapy, as it encourages students to keep striving and growing. Educational therapy doesn't just help students with their current schoolwork, it equips them with lifelong skills like problem-solving, organization, and self-regulation. These abilities are valuable not just in school, but in all areas of life, helping students become independent and successful adults. A key part of educational therapy is fostering a growth mindset. Students learn that intelligence and abilities can be developed through effort and practice. This mindset helps them embrace challenges, persist through difficulties, and view mistakes as opportunities to learn and grow. Educational therapists celebrate every step of progress, no matter how small. Recognizing achievements boosts motivation and helps students see how far they've come. This positive reinforcement encourages them to keep working toward their goals and builds a sense of accomplishment. Educational therapy is especially valuable for students with diverse learning needs. Whether a child has a learning disability, attention difficulties, or simply learns differently, therapists provide the individualized support needed to help every student thrive. This inclusive approach ensures that all learners have the opportunity to reach their full potential. Educational therapy is grounded in the science of how the brain learns. By understanding cognitive development and the mental processes involved in learning, therapists can use evidence-based strategies that are proven to work. This scientific approach ensures that interventions are effective and based on the latest research. Educational therapists continually assess student progress, adjusting their strategies as needed. This ongoing evaluation ensures that interventions remain effective and responsive to each child's changing needs. By tracking progress, therapists can celebrate successes and quickly address any new challenges that arise. One of the most powerful outcomes of educational therapy is student empowerment. As children develop stronger cognitive skills and overcome learning barriers, they gain a sense of control over their own learning. This empowerment leads to greater independence, motivation, and a lifelong love of learning. Educational therapy prepares students not just for academic success, but for life. By building cognitive foundations and teaching essential skills, therapists help students become adaptable, resilient, and ready to face future challenges. This preparation is invaluable in a rapidly changing world. When education focuses on developing the mind, it becomes more humane and compassionate. Students are seen as individuals with unique strengths and challenges, rather than just test scores. Educational therapy embodies this approach, helping every child feel valued and supported on their learning journey. Truly help children succeed, educators must understand how the mind develops. Cognitive development involves complex systems like memory, attention, language, executive function, and reasoning. Educational therapists use this knowledge to identify learning barriers, design targeted interventions, and strengthen cognitive foundations. This approach moves education beyond memorization, making learning a process of developing the mind itself. When the mind develops properly, learning becomes more natural and enjoyable. Students experience the joy of discovery, the satisfaction of overcoming challenges, and the confidence that comes from mastering new skills. Educational therapy helps unlock this joy for every child, making education a truly rewarding journey. For educators, understanding cognitive development and educational therapy is a call to action. By looking beyond surface-level symptoms and addressing the root causes of learning difficulties, teachers and therapists can make a profound difference in students' lives. This approach transforms education into a process of nurturing minds and building futures. In summary, educational therapy offers a powerful way to help children who struggle in school. By understanding cognitive development and focusing on the brain's learning systems, therapists and teachers can unlock every child's potential. When we move beyond memorization and focus on developing the mind, learning becomes not just possible but enjoyable and fulfilling for all.